back with Taking Time with Travelers. On episode 1, you came on and we talked about your background, pain, right? Ashten. You grew up in
Yeah, what's up?
Toronto, went to private school. We covered a little bit about your home life, why you got sent there. You're grateful for that. How you got into art through your friends. You talked about like the moment that you realized you could pursue this as a living, and then you talked a little bit about starting Dead in 100 with your two friends, and then I guess you guys do like a lot of production. We can talk about it a little bit more because I don't think that we quite figured that out on the
Okay.
on the podcast. And then we can brush up a little bit on like where that's taken you and some of the stories that you might have, like pursuing art abroad, right? Because you've been to so many places. You're from Toronto. You've been to LA. I
Yeah.
don't know where you're sitting right now,
Uh, you know.
but so
Uh,
just I guess we'll just catch up with how how's Dead in 100 going. you know
okay.
Maybe what was one of the last things that you guys worked on, and then
Okay.
just where's some places that you've been maybe that were just cool to you, pivotal in that regard.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll man, there's gonna be so many stories. So okay, so I've spent the last 5 years building and developing like creative digital assets for clients. This kind of like came about from just freelancing as a photographer, and as an art director at our production studio. So I kind of like realized that I wanted just to simply provide um high quality services with custom pricing, essentially, just because I always like saw this like what's your budget, what's your rate, that kind of dynamic between client and you know artist. So I kind of wanted to like be very dynamic in terms of like how I operated, and it's kind of like um you know like we can negotiate through deliverables, but my main focus was just having the ability to provide a high quality service, just because I knew that that would distinguish me amongst a sea of creatives, right? The beautiful thing about this like digital economy and like being a digital nomad is that we can actually collaborate from anywhere. And if you have a chance, you can check us out at deadin100.com. We have like a video reel there just to show you some of the work we've worked on. I won't really go over it. It's like, you guys can check it out
No,
essentially.
it's cool. Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot in there. So did you
right.
make
So
that video?
so I didn't make the video. We have a team of people, like, so we have the core team members, partners, and then we'll outsource. So we build with teams, right? Like usually on a typical set, we'll have the art director team, which is like usually what I would work with, and then we have a producer who like handles all the like logistics and just vetting and all. Like that's who the main point of contact was, and then we have our director, Hailey Aline, who's like one of my best friends. That I've known since high school. So I went to like a French school in Toronto. We're all kids from Toronto, right? And the main thing was like in our city, you have to kind of like, well, back then, you have to kind of leave the city to kind of like, make a name for yourself. So what was cool was that we all kind of like did our own thing, right? And then we kind of collectively came together. And I know a lot of like artists are scared to collaborate, but I was really apprehensive about collaborating. Like I've been burnt in a few business relationships with friends, and Hailey's one of my really good friends, and it's such a beautiful relationship. Like I don't know if you've had the opportunity to work with friends. It's a very complicated dynamic. This was probably the smoothest interactions I've done with business, and I'm super proud of that because like oftentimes as artists, I feel like the money poisons the art.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and
and we haven't,
relationships. And so I
yeah,
want to
right.
touch on it a little bit too. I
I'm
run
not picking
a
my ear, by the way. I'm just turning my earring.
I run a camper van rental company, and I've
Okay.
had like a lot of business ideas, and I really admire people that really do things on their own.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
in this case, like a friend Tom, I have this friend Tommy, and
Okay.
he's my business partner. And then I just mentioned to him one time, and I've had like great ideas, and I've had some friends like say, let's do this business together, and I've had to say no just because like I know like that wouldn't work out. But I kind of just like
Okay.
threw a softball one day, and I was like, dude, my friend started renting out his travel trailer, just that, like just peer to peer,
Hmm.
blah blah blah. Like we could try it out, and then we can have a trailer and get the payments covered by renting it out. He had a space in his backyard to park it, right? In his rental. And so we like kind of like tested the waters. Well, we didn't know we were testing the waters. We just like wanted a trailer, and then we saw how things were working out, and it does get like really
Yeah.
touchy sometimes. But I think I was telling somebody else recently that one of the things that's made the business successful and made us like not hate each other, he's like my closest friend, right? So,
Yeah, for sure.
and that's since starting the business. So our friendship's grown. Our families have like,
Yeah.
our relationships grown. And the way we did that was like kind of putting the relationship, like people go business is business, don't take it personal, blah, blah. And like that's true to an extent, but it's about like putting the relationship first. So sometimes there's like things that he believes we should do, but like he'll see my
Yeah.
conviction, he'll take a step back. And the same is true in reverse, right? Like even if I'm like, I think, this has to be folded this way, just something dumb. It's almost like a
Yeah, for
marriage,
sure.
not to make it weird, but like,
No, for
sometimes I
sure. I
just got
get
to
it,
throw my
bro.
hands up, do it his way, stick to it. And like, he's led us in really cool places, really cool direction. We got multiple camper vans. And then, same thing, I've had like these little sparks and ideas, and then we both operate. It's hard. It's hard. So, you brought that up. I just wanted to share that too. I definitely
Yeah,
know what
so
that's like.
like it's all team dynamics, bro. Like, okay, so all my team, like anyone on my team, they're very like they're experts of their craft, right? So like I have my like I went to Concordia for organizational psych. I actually got in for biomed, but I didn't execute on that.
Hmm.
And essentially I just wanted to like because I did have some experience as an art and working in an art gallery in high school, right? I went to Collège Français in Toronto, and one of the like my friend's dad, like I was explaining the last time, the gallery. So um, like I always wanted, I understood that artists always had the shit end of the stick, and the gallery always wins, like But nowadays, I'm like, yeah, I'll give you 40%, but what are you gonna like? How are you working for me on this 40% as a partnership? And I understood the dynamics, and this is kind of like the stuff that helps me with my team, right? It's like understanding team dynamics and developments, right? Like for the most part, people will like they understand this abstractly, but like there's a couple stages, and I might mess this up, and anyone can correct me down in the comments below. But it's like forming, storming, norming, performing, and then there's a termination and ending. But usually what that means is that you rinse the cycle again. You know what I mean? So does that make sense?
No, I'm just trying to pick up. Well, if
So
you break them
like
down a little bit, yeah.
yeah, so there's like a foreman stage where it's like you guys come together, you figure it out. Storming is when you like go about like how you want to execute your ideas and what like it's almost like these are the rules of engagement. And then Norman is when you normalize these rules of engagement, then you start optimizing your performance or the performance stage, and then there's a termination and ending. Or it's usually when the organization needs to change. So it's not like necessarily an ending. It's just that you guys got to pivot, if that makes sense. So for me, what was interesting was that I've been friends with most of these guys for years. Like they're one of my oldest friends. And essentially that kind of like contributed. So like we talk like we're family, like we yell at each
Yeah.
other, like I'll be in spaces and we're building up ideas and like, this the beauty of it is like you're not really dealing with like it's like anything in business. You're dealing with personalities,
Yeah.
so it's like I understand that dynamic. So it's like I don't like artists are super sensitive, right? Like that's just a normal thing. And there's sometimes you just gotta like sometimes we've been nurturing our egos for so long that we become numb and blind to shit. So this is where you have to be like, okay, like what is this person really attempting to communicate? At least with my team, I have this flaw about me where I won't explain shit. That's my
Yeah.
communication style. I'll be like, yo, this is what we should do, and they're like, huh, we don't get it. Like I I have this problem where I expect people to fucking just like understand what I'm saying, because of like the dynamics that I'm communicating, these high level ideas that I'm expressing. So an example of this is I sent you a link, okay? It's an experiment gallery. I did this as a response to a gallery we were supposed to do collectively at the AGO, and it got canceled a week before due to like COVID lockdowns. It was supposed to just like kind of catapult our business. We had a whole rollout. And I think we could check it out. It's super cool. It's interactive. But I did this as a response to like doing it virtual. Now, at the production company, we build stuff physical. And I was like, wow, we spent so much time sourcing all these things. Like with this virtual environments, we can just do this digitally as models.
We talked
Like,
a little bit about that the other day, right? Like you were kind of trying to
yeah,
do these digital galleries quite a bit ahead of the curve, right? Because now
okay.
it's getting pretty
Just want
prominent.
to see it because you never saw it. Did you see it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Let's watch it if you're down. I'll explain to you like what it is, and
Okay,
I
I
can
want to
it
do
makes more
it.
sense.
I want to do it, but
Okay,
I like I
it's
need to
quick.
know.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
let's say
You
like
want
the first
context?
time that you traveled for like a commissioned piece of work.
Okay. Um, First time for travel. Okay, so this is what happened. I was not really active in photography. I essentially was working a corporate job. I won't name them because
Hmm.
we actually had a falling out. Like they like I take stuff maybe too seriously. And it's probably an insecurity, just being honest. But it's like I had a client that was difficult, and I was the employee to deal with them. And at the time, I was looking to get vacation to go and do this commission piece. I don't really want to name drop, but they bought a family in LA. I had traded a print when I first went to LA for some weed to this dealer. Ended up that this dealer, he's my friend. Shout out my friend. And essentially, his uncle is very big in the film industry, and I'm not talking about like he's really big. Like that
Hmm.
family kind of like runs it. And I was fortunate enough that they put me up, and it was dope. But he called me one day. He said, "Yo, my uncle saw your work. He would love for you to come out. I know you want to work in the film industry. We have a ticket for you." So at the time, I was working on this corporate job, and it was around April. It was April Fool's Day. I'll never forget this because we had this difficult client, and if you know any, like I'm bilingual, right? So it was like a kind of like I was doing conference calling with like CEOs and all this stuff, and just like arranging their like quarterly calls, and it's very hectic because they have like a certain standard of service. And I was very like they loved me talking to me because I was very casual. I didn't like suck up to them. I was just like I was always inquiring because I was so like, oh, like I'm talking to the CEO of X company, like what's that about? Like, you have this like small room you can engage, and then you plug them into the public room, essentially. So they made this. My manager made a joke, that someone fucked up this one irate client, and it was like they're pretty much abusive. And they broke down everybody. So they're like, Ashton, you did it. And I was like, bro, like I didn't even know it was April Fool's, to be honest. So probably the fault's on me, but it catapulted. Like it's the reason why like I quit the fucking corporate world, and it's their loss. Like I was like, okay, just to give you context, training for this company was like 6 weeks. I did the training in 2 weeks, and I was on the calls right away just because I'm like, yo, bro, this is super easy. Conferencing calls, like whatever. So they played a prank on me, and I was like, yo, bro, I didn't take that call. You're not gonna gaslight me into thinking I did this shit. And they did. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna take a break. I went downstairs for a smoke. And then I spoke to my friend who hired me. He's my best friend. Like, we know each other since like elementary school. Okay. So they played this prank on me, and I was like, all right, you guys aren't giving me a vacation. I was like, cool. I was on that plane ticket. I was on that plane, bro. I was on that plane. And it was nothing for this family to buy the plane ticket. It didn't matter if I was on it. The ultimatum they gave me, they're like, look, like, it doesn't matter if you're on the plane ticket or on the plane or not, but this is an opportunity. And I said, compared to what I was doing, I took that risk, and it was really rewarding because I got to work, and like it was crazy, man. Like, just imagine a kid from Toronto living in like Bel Air. So that's kind of like what happened. But I got to have conversations
We're
with,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
So
No, no, no.
yeah,
Yeah,
no. So I got to have conversations. If I'll show you the connection, but you have to blur it out. So you know who it is.
I can't do it quick. I'm not that good
No,
at it.
you can't do it now, but do it in post.
Okay, okay.
Okay, I'll show you the
So,
contact.
well, I already know who you're talking about.
Okay, perfect. So then good, we're good. But I'm saying super deep. So the first time, this was the craziest shit ever. So I'm there and I'm like, cool. Um, Now I didn't realize that there are different tax brackets in this world. So an example of this is we went to Rodeo Drive. I didn't have money for this shit, but I'm like, sure, I'll come. And they were like, yo, grab whatever you want. And I'm like, what do you mean grab whatever I want? I'm not buying Louis Vuitton. That's never been me. So like, no, grab whatever you want. It was the first time I ever saw that you could just grab stuff. And then the company invoices his family. Like on the back end, all the
Yeah.
bank records are there. And then I didn't know this, right? Keep in mind, I grew up in a different socioeconomic like environment. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on, right? Different lifestyle, bro. Like it was just crazy. That was the first time that kind of kicked me off. And then it was such a rewarding trip because after there was a situation, I don't want to talk about it. It's just not my place, but I really realized how like um, you know, there's definitely some shit going on in this world, and um not it's not equal access to everybody, and it's just that's just what it is, right? Like, and it's okay. I can't, if you come from something, don't start from zero, but I'm someone that started from zero, right? So essentially I
Dude, I
branched
mean,
off to
it's
myself.
cyclical. I've had to like
Yeah.
break some cycles, or like I've been in. I don't want to.
So how do
I
you
know you
break a
don't want to
cycle?
spend too much. Dude,
No, no,
that's a good
how did
question,
you break a
but
cycle?
um, I think one of the. This sucks because it's still an opportunity, but it's a much more achievable opportunity. I would say, like, I've been expelled from school. Like, I'm not
uh
saying I follow the rules, but there were times that I knew, like, I need to like abide by like these social, like, um pressures, right? Because that allowed me to spend more time with people that I wanted to like learn from. And so I wanted to make sure like I was palatable, right? And then
okay.
like by spending time with them, I'm able to kind of like pick up on man. All right, so I'm able to
Bless
pick
you.
up on like thank you. I'm able to pick up on their like I can see more opportunity because of what they're able to like show me and like expose me to. And so then I kind
Hmm.
of knew like what I wanted. And I also spent a lot of time with people, just like, like really confused time, like late teens, early adulthood. Like I also spent a
Yeah,
lot of time with people that I don't want to be like. And so then
me too.
like that's kind of it's exposure. So I think breaking the
Yeah,
cycle is like exposure to other ideas and other like schools of thought and
for sure.
practices, because that like allowed me to know that there's other options. Otherwise it is cyclical, and it's not fair to people. Like starting from zeros,
Uh-huh.
almost impossible, honestly. Like we talk about how much
Okay, yes, you're
opportunity
right.
there
You're
is.
right.
I
You're
What I
right.
mean by
You're right.
almost impossible is like
It's
most
it's it's
people can't do
intimidating.
it.
It's
They don't
intimidating,
do it.
and we talk about this with my friends a lot. Is that this is why people always do that one thing they think they're gonna get out of their situation, and it always gets them in trouble. There's so many stories about
Right,
that
exactly.
because you have to take a big risk for it to be rewarding for you to go to, like, I say this all the time: new levels, new devils. So the Devils in LA were so fucking different than the Devils I had to deal with in Toronto. But I was like, I was almost prepared for it because I'm a very defiant, like not defiant person. I don't like to be like controlled because like for a long time, like,
Independent, I'd say.
yeah, you have to
We're
think differently
stubborn.
and be in between the,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm super stubborn. Do you know what my sign is? Holy shit.
I'm an
I'm probably the
Aries.
most,
I
oh my
mean,
God.
you know.
So what I learned was that like I learned what I liked and what I didn't like.
Yeah, I
That's just
think
by experience,
you
you
said
know?
it in 2 seconds. I said it in 2 minutes. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I needed
No,
that
because I had to sit with
exposure.
this.
I needed, like, my
Hmm.
friends' parents to take me to these places. So I'm going to follow my friends' parents' rules. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Shoes
for
off in the
sure. That's what
house.
you gotta
Like,
do.
do these things. Bap, bap, bap. And then, like, by, like, respecting their space, I was able to, like, be invited into their space. By being invited into their space, I was able to meet people, just, and even if it's not about networking, just knowing that there's different things out there. And a lot of people
For
don't get
sure.
those opportunities. So I think, like, I guess that number one thing on like how to break that cycle is like when you do have an opportunity to just be exposed to different people, different things,
Mhm.
like take it and, respect their
Run
space.
with it, bro.
Yeah.
No, but you have to run with it. You have to run it up and scale it. So like when I was like, I scaled that shit because it was like I didn't want to go back home. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So basically, like, out of that like learning experience, I got to have these great conversations about art with like someone who's a master of their craft. And they admired my work and they saw something in me that I probably didn't see in myself. So um and like keep in mind I did events, I was doing events, I was an artist, and I was just like trying to like make money to live. So I did this party with a few friends. It was Post Malone's first show. We found this kid on SoundCloud. There's an opportunity. I could sell tickets, and keep in mind, I'm from Toronto, living in LA. No one knows me, But the cool thing was, I was a member at Soho House. So
How many years ago
that's
about? Is this like
you know what? If you
2013,
2015,
15?
uh,
Okay.
let me double check. Actually, it's probably 20. Uh, I don't know, man. I have a video
So
somewhere.
I swear, like, I heard White Iverson in like 2013.
I can, no, 2015. The show was May 25th,
Yeah.
2015. Yeah, Los Globos. It was on a Thursday, and bro, we put up our own dough. So this was like supposed to be my rent money. It was supposed to
Oh,
be like that. That was the risk to get to stay on to the next month. So I gambled, literally gambled, bro. I was like, oh fuck. Like, anyways, I rolled it out for 2 weeks, no ticket sales. I was like, fuck, I'm going back home. Um, Now this is what's cool. I didn't like. I'm growing my Twitter right now, but at the time I probably had like 200 Twitter followers. I just tweeted out. I was like, "Yo, giving away 2 tickets. Who wants this?" Funny enough, um, this girl was like, "I'll claim them," and her little network of friends were like, I guess, lit in LA. So I gave them 2 tickets. Bro, the tickets sold out in fucking 24 hours before the show. So we already had a sold out show. And then I did my thing. And what was cool was like, those tickets are sold out. We already recouped our money. And the beautiful thing is, I booked this DJ who threw a party for me in Toronto. Um, his name's Cyber69, and he was connected to Virgil Abloh. And what was cool is because I booked him as a DJ, and shout out Danny Seth. Danny Seth pulled up and we mobbed out. He's my friend from England who was living in LA at the time, and we were just running around the city. At the time, it was just super fun. I shouted him out, man. If you have a chance, check out his music. So I did this show, and what I found out was like everybody who wanted to come to the show last minute had to tap in with me. So I have all these contacts in my phones from like Virgil. There's a couple people like Luigi, who's dope. All these fucking dope figures that I knew about from the internet, like fashion designers, all this stuff that wanted to come to the show. That like I was the guy that was in charge of like the guest list. So they texted me, and so these are same things. It's like your Rolodex is how you roll it out, right? It's not even like what you know in this world is who you know. You get what I'm saying?
yeah.
So that's kind of what catapulted. But the catalyst was this plane ticket, quitting this job, and boom. So when I came back to Toronto, I had this whole network of LA, and I was like, "Yo, you guys gotta come to Toronto." You know what I'm saying? And the funny thing is that people didn't know that like I was like we threw some crazy parties in Toronto. Like you can if you Google Toronto, Kanye West, Drake, Hoxton, you want to see this? I'll show you this video after. But primarily, like it's like Toronto's such a beautiful city because it's like such a cultural hub, and it was crazy, bro. So that was like the party that catapulted a lot of shit, right? And shout out my friends that they were like, "Yo, like we think you'd be good for this. You want to host this party?" I was like, "Hell yeah!" And it was just Virgil Abloh. And this is crazy about this is that he had this movement in a clothing company called Bin Trill. No one would have expected that. We actually thought that party was gonna flop because Kanye West came on tour. He was doing the what was the album with the CD cover? Uh
Of
Yeezus. It was
Kanye's?
a
Yeah.
Yeezus tour. It was
Yeah.
a Yeezus tour. So that tour was happening the same day we booked this show, and we're like, fuck no. But then Drake and Kanye showed up. So if you want to look at this video, you can check it out. It was the craziest party. Like I was okay, I'm on stage at this party and I was like, bro, I'm sweating. Kanye's hanging from the fucking top rafters. It was like literally a like insurance disaster. Anyways, point is, I was good at throwing parties. Like I was a party guy in my city. I had this like network of like I was a promoter. I threw a lot of parties when I was living in Montreal, Toronto, and then I anywhere I go, I kind of understood that like everyone wants to like decompress, have fun. I was like the good time. So even in New York, we threw parties, and like when I lived there for a bit. But point is, it was that like I always like believe like I broke this down to like spaces and faces and people. That's like the formula. So it's just like it's the same experience as working at an art gallery when I was in high school. It's just that it's more dynamic in terms of like the environment, and the same thing as like doing this like unique private experience is that I'm just contextualizing the experience and creating a unique private experience for my guests and then people that we're highlighting. And like some we have DJs. It's like there's a formula to this, so we're just contextualizing a space and there's people there, you know?
Yeah.
So so that's kind of where my experience rolled out from. And like, I'm definitely gonna be going back to LA. There's a couple of moves I want to make and basically after September. So that's kind of like how it started. And then I just kind of like I took that formula and I just scaled it. I cut off the fat, trimmed everything that was unnecessary. And then it just turned into this thing where I was a guy that like if you want to come to Toronto and see Toronto, just contact me. Also, I have a friend based in LA. Shout out Gabe. He was very instrumental. He really adopted me in LA. He's the guy that was like he shot the Drake and 21 Savage video. He's a VHS guy. Shout out White Trash Tyler, who's from Nova Scotia. He's the guy who
Nova
does like,
Scotia?
yeah, bro.
I've joked
But
about
yo,
moving there. Like,
Nova
how does
Scotia.
someone, yeah, grow up
So
there?
I
It's
actually
crazy.
I know White Trash Tyler and his friends. This is how small the world is. There's a big network. My ex-girlfriend that went to Concordia with me, she's from Nova Scotia. So she used to always talk about these group of guys that were doing some stuff, and they're on my radar. When I was in LA for the first time, he was actually out there. Okay. The funny thing about this is that like like we're also connecting in this present moment. You just gotta have your eyes open. um Even a bigger fact, at the Post Malone show, one of my friends that I met, he went to another high school. He was there, and when I saw him, I'm like, bro, what's up? And he was like, oh my god, Ashton. And he kind of changed his name, and I was like, okay, cool, like you go by that now, cool. But it's just like a small world. And something to add is like if you're from Toronto and you're in LA, like everyone's family. Like it's just like it's this thing, it's a phenomenon, like everyone knows everybody. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, it's kind of like what started, and I just scaled that model, and I did a lot of like
Have you
stuff
ever
that was very
noticed too that like obviously people go to LA to do what you did, which is like network, find opportunity, learn, like express themselves like through their, production, through their art, all sort
you know
just I mean LA affords many opportunities. But
hmm
like have you ever noticed too that I think traveling kind of like it heightens your senses. Like when
for
so
sure.
you're in LA that first couple weeks. I bet you that first couple weeks was really pivotal because like your senses are heightened. You're like
Oh my
on
god.
your toes, and then like your inhibitions are down. So have you noticed that like if you go somewhere that you don't live or you haven't been to in a long time or it's the first time there, somehow like you're meeting people and you're able to like just connect because you're like you're really I think it's
Yes,
because you're on
you're
top of your
open.
game. You're open, like
No,
there's
you have
no
to be.
preconceived notions. You're just like meeting people. Hopefully you're listening, like learning about them, and then you're like able like your mind's just firing off like different opportunities, whether that's like a creative process, a business opportunity, a relational opportunity, because I've met people almost everywhere I've gone that
Okay.
like, I'm still talking to, right? And I think I don't know if that's just because now it's probably more to do with like you're not confined to your social bubble, and so
hmm
you're really just like more open and talking with like anybody. But
For sure.
traveling affords that. Like you can't really you can do that
I
without
agree with
traveling, but
you.
travel forces it.
So for me, I think that traveling cures ignorance. If you have the opportunity to travel, get a passport, just go somewhere you've never been. You'll
Mm-hmm.
learn more about yourself. So that's one aspect, and I do agree. Like your senses are heightened because you have to reorient yourself, and just this is just natural. Like the sun's different, your longitude and latitudes are different from what you're accustomed to, and you're outside your comfort zone. So you have to be on high alert, right? Like these are just natural phenomenons that occur. So I feel like that's a good experience for anybody. Now, I was someone that always like I dipped. The first chance I got, I dipped. I moved to Montreal when I was 17. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah.
that was something that was natural to me. And I always love exploring. Like I think that like the best stories we can ever have in life are like adventure and treasure. You
And
know,
like
they involve.
routine, as much as like routine, you'll hear people talk about success. Well, because you said I did. Like first opportunity I get, I'm out, I'm doing something. Like I like dynamic environments too.
Me too.
And
Hmm.
but you'll talk to like people, right, that are like success gurus, and they're like routine. You wake up at 5 a.m. every morning, and then you spend the first 26 minutes of your day doing X, right? Make your bed, blah blah blah. Like, and the thing is, I think that there's some truth to like routine leading to productivity, but I think for the most part it stifles it, right? Like
Okay.
it's
Okay.
these dynamic environments, at least for myself, it's these dynamic environments that I'm like my senses are heightened. I know I've been saying that a lot, but like I'm traveling or something, I'm doing something new, meeting someone new, like just like out and about in a dynamic environment. And that's when like I'm also like connecting so many opportunities, possibilities, right?
Yeah. So I think what you're trying to say is like, okay, for me, I have to be organized just because like that's just how I set it up. Like I think like a schedule is the most like um optim optimal way to be disciplined and
Yeah,
sticking to a schedule. Hold on one second.
no problem.
Fuck. My girlfriend's calling me.
No,
Hold on one
take a
second. No,
minute, I
keep it
can cut
rolling.
it out.
Yo, babes, I'm on a podcast right now. Are you around? Is that what you're trying to say? Okay, sorry. Yo, just pull up. I'm almost done, I think. Okay. All right. Yo, I'll call you back after this, okay? Okay, yeah. Someone's a big man. I cut that part out. No, I'm just like you can keep it. So for the most part, I sent you my schedule. It's not today's schedule, but I feel like having a schedule allows me to like not make these mundane decisions, such as like, oh, what do I have to do? It's like I know exactly what I have to do every single day because my schedule gives me an alert and it keeps me focused, and I can really focus on like the real like grit, which is like, all right, how do I optimize? So I kind of like have the same schedule every day. I don't know if you've noticed, but like I go to bed at 5 a.m. I wake up at 10 a.m. People think I'm on spaces all the time. It's not that. It's just that when I'm on spaces, I'm either like asking questions or crowdsourcing ideas. If you check Twitter, I sent you a screenshot of my schedule.
Did you
It
end up
doesn't
with that
change.
sleep schedule? Like,
Okay, so
it
look
seems
at my
like
sleep.
actually a really good schedule. No one wants to
It's the
talk to
best
you
schedule.
at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., so you're not
No,
like
no
missing
one
out on
does.
anything.
I'm not missing out on shit. It's like, okay, can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
How many hours are in a day?
24. You're
Is that
using
your
19
final
of them.
answer? Okay. So
Man,
there's 12 hours in a day, there's 12 hours in a night.
yeah.
So I have 2.5 hours of rest for the day, 2.5 hours for the night. I just optimize my schedule.
But I
I
also
sleep for,
can't just sleep for 5 hours. I can do that
okay, but
one night,
this is
maybe
innate
two.
to me. I'm built like this now. So it's like I start getting tired at
Built
5 a.m.
different.
Yeah, I'm built different, bro. Like, and it's funny because my business partner Hiley, he's like in the gym. He goes to the gym twice a day, but it's just a discipline, right? Like this thing, like discipline is very abstract, but it's like you can really like because like okay, I go by a donut shop. I start thinking about eating donuts. I'm not gonna go and buy donuts just because it was put in front of me. That's how the society's set up. Like it's supposed to stimulate your senses, take your bag, and boom, you have a pack of donuts and you're eating a bunch
Yeah.
of donuts. Discipline will teach you, all right, bro, I smelt the donuts. I'm gonna not have that reward right now. I'm gonna put it off and then I'm gonna do what I have to do. And then later because I was stimulated, I'll go get that donut. Just not right
But I
when it's
think
put in front of
like
me.
discipline too, right? You're like, okay, so you're saying you can put off like incentive to yourself. You can tell yourself like, do not indulge right now. That's an important
Yes,
part of it. But I feel like
it
we can
is.
only tell ourselves that so much because we're really wired to
We're
take
conditioned
care of
for sure.
ourselves, right?
No, because we
So,
want on
but what
demand
helped
things.
me wasn't like necessarily like the discipline to tell myself not to indulge right now, but really, I'm a very indulgent person, right? Like if I drink or smoke or eat or like want to go hike, like I like do things a little too much. Most of the time, I overdo things. So like basically, it framed to where just if it's helpful for other people. But I think discipline makes you change your goals too. So you're not just neglecting yourself all the
Yeah.
time, but like you'll
Okay.
also change it to like I instead of saying like and I pulled this my wife says this, she got this from a documentary. She was like, instead of saying I want that donut but can't have it, like that mindset changed to like I can have that right now and I don't want it because I think your discipline
Okay.
shifted your priorities. It's so much harder to tell myself I can't have something right now. Then I'm like, well, yeah, I can, and then I indulge. Versus I can have that and I don't even want it right now. Like I want to do this instead, right?
Yeah.
We're always
So
going to do what we
maybe.
desire. So it's about shifting your desires.
Yeah, but we're able to, but like everything's so on demand. Like, okay, like we can talk about this the space, right? Like the whole space is derived off of like one FOMO,
Yep.
two hype, and I never underestimate human
You're
greed.
talking about the
Human greed,
NFT space or crypto
yeah,
space in
and
general.
yeah,
Yeah.
in general, it's all FOMO and hype. I buy in. There's people that will buy in at the top and then they fumble the bag. There's people that will buy in at the bottom. It pumps, but they're so greedy they won't let it go.
Yeah.
They'll fucking 60x. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear, but they'll 60x, and then boom, they'll be like, "Yo, like, why didn't you let
Oh,
go of that?
it's
Just
got to
take
be
profits."
it's got to go up to Yuga
No,
Lab
because they care.
status. I got a
Yeah, but
diamond
it's
hand, diamond hand, and even that, like everyone's telling
yeah,
everyone else to
bro.
diamond hand, but everybody's goal is to sell, and that's actually one of the big critiques of the space. And something I try to tell people, like, go ahead, like what you're doing. If you're buying and selling NFTs, like for the most part, unless you're like manipulating things. For the most part, though, like you're buying an NFT, you're hoping it goes up and you sell it, or you just want it, which I think is way more. That's how I've been approaching the space since 2022 started. Um, because like I realized like even my success is usually someone else's failure. So I don't mean to
That's what
like
it is.
I don't
That's
like it,
exactly
dude.
it.
Like I,
Okay, but hear me
oh,
out.
I
No, no, no,
flipped
no.
a
Hear me out.
crypto skull, and then the next day I was like, oh, I did it just in time.
Okay,
And it's way down,
but hear
and
me
they'll
out.
probably pick up. But I do not like the idea that I let somebody else hold in
Okay.
an $8,000 bag.
No, but that's okay. That's also a bad mentality though, because the whole space is based on look, bro. In history, okay, who's number two to Beethoven?
Uh, Number two
No
to
one knows.
Beethoven.
No one remembers, bro. No one remembers. Okay, who's the number two fucking Olympic champion of fucking running '92? No one remembers. My point is, no one remembers number two. Okay, in this space, for you to win and take profits from the market, someone's got to lose in the market. That's just what it's built on.
No, so that's the problem. That's
No,
actually
bro.
so if we continue to treat NFTs like a
Okay.
market, then like it will never benefit because we claim that the technologies allow for ownership, allow you to participate, do these things like
Okay.
if we don't say like, oh, it's a great investment idea. Like that's what brought some of us here, but I think it's super toxic because at the end of the day, that NFT should be worth what it's worth. And we're talking about art for the most part. We're talking about art NFTs and
Okay.
then also utility based projects. Those are usually the ones you're flipping, right? Like I'm sure
Okay.
people have probably even flipped your photographs. I've flipped a photography NFT maybe a couple
Okay.
times, but like I said, so for 8 months now, 7 months, like I have not been looking at NFTs like investment because I can like, if I want to buy a crypto skull, it should be because I want what a crypto skull is. So there's the artwork, you
Okay.
have commercial rights, right? I can use the IP. Maybe that's why I'm buying it. Maybe I'm buying it for the community. Maybe I'm buying it for like token gated access to a music festival, right? Or I'm buying it because Crypto Skulls has a treasury, right? And look, I don't even own a V1 Crypto Skull. I only own a V2 now. I kind of like got priced out, like things happen, whatever. So I'm not like pumping my
Okay.
bags at all. But my point is, then there's a DAO treasury controlled by a DAO, which is decentralized autonomous organization, right? The
Which none of us
holders.
have right now. We don't have that really right now. Just
No, we're
letting you
like
know.
people are like
Yeah.
trying to create a DAO, right?
Yeah,
A
but
functional
they don't
DAO.
understand it. So
and
yeah.
and yeah, but and then the yeah, I don't want to get into DAOs. That's a hot take. We'll do a hot take on DAOs. But the my problem with it is like, okay, so if I want to crypto skull for that, its value is gonna have a lower ceiling. But the second I'm buying a crypto skull on like speculation that it'll pump, that's why people are like overpaying for NFTs, and that's what causes that. So you're not even like buying the NFT, you're buying other people's perception of the NFT, and that's not going to like forward the space, because I do believe in NFTs, I do believe in art, and I do believe in utility that can be attached to the technology.
So
So
I was
like,
curious. Just answer me this question here because it sounds like you have a belief, which is totally okay. I can't
I
change
just
that
want to
belief.
share it. Yeah, yeah.
No, no, no. But you like just be open to having ideas. So I'm just joking with you. I love saying that when people get heated because I respect it. But bro, this is a commercial market. Let's just be honest about this. Let's just be very real and honest with ourselves. It's a commercial market. I'm in a commercial market, bro.
I'm saying it
I'm not.
is, but it doesn't have to be. It
No, but
probably
that's
would be
your
better if it
belief. I get
wasn't.
that.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. You're operating different. That's your unique private experience as an NFT. But let's just be real. Okay, so then how about this? If not crypto or NFTs, why not cash?
Well, the I mean, it all depends on context that you're asking.
Why not cash?
For what?
Support an artist with cash. Support a project with cash. Why not cash?
Right. So you're saying it's a market because I want the NFT, right? But most of the time, um, because you're talking about how provenance makes it a market. But maybe I'm
Mm.
just buying it because most of the NFTs I buy I do not think are gonna flip for more money. That changed.
Yeah, but that's
2022,
why it's yeah,
I do
okay.
not think that,
Digital
right? Like
collectibles.
when I'm buying NFTs, one, like the NFT space did create, this isn't based on the technology, but it did a lot. Well, yeah, it is, because I can buy from people across the world easier. So that's why not cash. I'm not going to mail you something to send me a picture. You live in Belgium or
Okay.
Iran or whatever, Iran, sorry. And so that's one reason. And also, like, I'm not buying these NFTs to flip them. At the end of the day, I know there's some NFTs that I buy and I know will not go up in value, or I
Okay, but
believe
that's
they won't.
cool. There's no because you're doing digital collectibles. Like that's totally fine. I also collect stuff that I don't want to really sell. I just if I list my NFTs, it's for like if I buy an NFT from an artist and I relist it, it's to show that I'm bullish. It's a signal. I
Yeah,
won't let this go for less than this. Now, let's play this game. Did you know? I'll ask you. How many people do you think participate in NFTs?
I think only 60,000.
Okay. That's cool. I didn't get that number, but this guy I've been working on because I'm trying to like my whole question with this as an artist is like, all right, I want to grow the market. I need to understand the state of the market. So I had these devs pull some numbers based on Etherscan, and I'm only going to speak on like Ether blockchain just because that's what I'm participating in and that's what I care about. And if you're interested too, like I'll send you a referral to this PDF. I'm actually before this podcast, I was actually just looking at it. It's called the Art Basel 2022 like just forecasts and all this stuff. It's really interesting. I only got to page 16 and they have a section about NFTs. It's kind of like the art market. Let me just actually read it properly. It
When I say
is,
60,000 too, I'm talking about people like actively in NFTs. A lot
yeah.
more than 60,000 people own NFTs.
So this is the Art Basel Art Market 2022 PDF. I'm actually analyzing this because I want to understand better. So I have a few devs that did me a favor. They kind of just like pulled some stats. And basically I was inquiring. I'm like, what is the NFT market? What's the snapshot of this? So I could better optimize, right? I'm all about like production capacity, optimizing and scaling models that I believe in. So there's only 300K. wallets on Etherscan that are actively participating on in NFTs. I don't know what that could be. Everyone has multiple wallets. It's just a number. There's
Yeah.
7 billion people on the planet. You guys do the math. Let's just use a fucking community like Call of Duty.
So
There's
one
30
percent
million.
would be 7 million, I believe. No, that's 7 million 1,000 times. Like 1% is something like 70 million. So you're like point, not even 0.1%,
There
right,
you go.
of
So now you know
adoption.
where I'm going with this. I look at numbers to give me an indication of what's really going on, because men lie, women lie, numbers don't,
Okay, so
right?
but
So
what I'm saying is if we treat NFTs like it's just a stock market, I don't
I'm
think
not
that it
talking
will
about that
lead
though. I need a
to
snapshot of the market. I'm not talking about playing it as like a gamble, like, because collecting art is a unique private experience.
yes,
That's just what
yeah.
I know. So I'm
And then
just
but there's
looking at,
also just like not all NFTs are artwork, right? There can be token gated, so like
yeah, but it's
exclusive access.
tokens.
So that's another reason to use blockchain and not cash, is like the certificate of authenticity, the provability that I own this NFT that allows me to do this. So
Okay.
I wanted to backtrack to your question. That I should have been able to just like snap to it, but you're bringing up like a good state of affairs on the market. I really appreciate it. So
Do you want me to continue or should I stop?
yeah, you can give us a couple
Okay.
more. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Now, do you know what the strongest community in NFTs are at the moment?
Like a PFP community.
No, no, just which niche community in NFTs, the strongest one?
I wouldn't know what, if you gave me like a multiple choice. I'm not telling you to, but I could probably do it.
No,
You know.
how
Yeah,
about I
yeah,
just read you
yeah,
these
yeah.
things that like these guys gave me. Photographers are more organized. They're the most organized community in the space. Ding ding ding, I'm in the right space for this what we're talking about. I'm as a person who mints my photographs on the blockchain for provenance and looking for patrons, I'm in the right space. This is just Snapchat forecast. There's a reason for that, because guess what? We don't bond over a PFP project. We don't bond over tokens. We don't bond over what blockchain we're on. You know what photographers bond over? Cameras.
Right. Yeah. No, you
You know what
don't
I'm
think
saying?
like the process. Well, you know, and
What connects
travel.
everybody?
I see a lot of these photographers like wanting to travel to get like travel
Yeah, but what
photographers.
connects us, bro? What can every photographer say they have or don't have? A camera. That's what strengthens everyone. Everyone can relate in that unique experience of being a photographer, because I can use an iPhone. I can use an iPhone. I can use a 35 millimeter. I can do digital. That's a bond that is unique to our thing, and we're the most organized. Like we have exhibits and everything. So I'm like, oh, dope. Now guess what the next fucking boom's gonna be in terms of NFTs.
I want to say music, but film might make
Okay,
it first.
nah, NFT photography, bro. You
Oh,
haven't
sorry.
scratched the
I
surface.
thought you were saying we were there. I think okay, so here's
No,
why I
we're
love
not there.
NFT photography. And this is why not dollar. But to your point, like it only matters if you're planning on selling it later, is like there hasn't really been a good original. There's been like this photo, like this paper was displayed in this gallery, like that adds provenance. This
Mm-hmm.
exact print, right? And then there's also you can sign something. Aside from, and both those things can be forged or lied about. Aside from those two things, there's not like a good for digital photography. There's not a good original. That's actually not true for film, and I get that, but I think it still applies. Like film obviously can still use this, because people don't understand that like yeah, oh, I can copy and paste. It's like, yeah, I can take a picture of the Mona Lisa and then you can post
Okay.
it. I'll copy and paste that. It doesn't devalue the Mona Lisa. So, like, the reason why I've always been bullish on NFT photography is because it's a new way for a digital medium to have an original. As in, this, like, your smart contract has your name in it. So, this photograph from this smart contract released from this creator, the originator
Okay.
of this photograph, this is the one of one on the blockchain or whatever. It's a good way to show that original provenance that it came from you. It's now in my wallet. I have something pointing to the image. And like that's just really cool. And in fact, I can't even like even if I buy prints, you don't really know if it's coming from the artist. Sometimes, usually, it's not
Okay.
actually. You know,
Yeah, but that's
it's just cool. It's
no, I
like
agree.
photography, and I think music have a lot to glean from the space because they're primarily digital, right? Versus a painting,
Yeah.
it's very clear what's an original and what's printed on canvas with more
Okay.
brushstrokes added on.
So I agree, but like remember the context of which I was operating from is like the traditional art world, right? And like I feel like NFTs solve this like inventory issue that a lot of photographers have suffered from. Like if I send my prints to Japan, I have to roll it in a tube, send it, and it's not flat anymore, or it gets ripped or damaged. So like it's a solution, right? And
Well,
the other
it's how
part
is it a solution to a print being mailed?
because I can
Because
upload.
go ahead.
Did you look at my last edition? Did you look at my last release? Do you know that you can, if you download that image, you can, if you look at the resolution, if you print that, it's going to look exactly like, I can print that 9 feet by 9 feet and it'll look
Okay,
exactly
so
like
yeah,
Polaroid.
when people are being responsible, like yeah, some people don't do high
I don't
res
need to,
images as
yeah. So this is
NFTs.
what I'm trying to get to is like, when you buy McDonald's, the tomatoes don't come from the US. If the McDonald's is established in Turkey, it's locally sourced, da da da. So what I'm doing is that I can point you to a token that has my image. And then if you collected it, I can send you a high res or I can just have it on the blockchain. I tested this out with my last drop. Essentially, it's like, so it's the resolution is 19,000 by 19,000. I printed this large format for gallery use and gallery quality, and it stands up. Okay. So let's say someone wants to display my work and they have my NFT. All they need to do is download the file where they can communicate with me. I emailed them and then they can use local resources to print do the specifications and different papers and all that stuff. So there's
What
that
was
issue.
your
Like there's
last
no I don't,
edition issued? I thought all your photos were one of
it's called
ones.
So my one of ones are all on foundation. I do additions once in a while to stimulate the community. I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link towards it. It was free. It cost me 60 cents to mint. Look at the secondary market. I did an infinite mint until August 6th, and then
Oh yeah,
it
yeah,
like
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
so I'll send you the link. Look at the tokenomics of it, bro. Like, people said it the secondary market dictates. Like they're bullish on me. Ooh, just checked my wallet. My homie Ralph sent me a worst ape. Do you know about these?
No.
Okay. That was a free mint. I sold it for point 0.1, made a bag on a free mint plus gas. And I missed out. I was supposed to get two. Anyways, so my last free mint was delete your history. Okay. I stimulate the community because I understand that like I price people out by my pricing on my one of ones. And it's not for a tier. Like I'm really trying to target collectors. And I know I don't have a problem sitting on these for a minute, right? Like keep in mind I'm minting my archive onto the blockchain. And essentially the right collector will see value in it. That's happened time and time again. And I'm okay with sitting on this work. I'm not going to stress about my pricing. Someone will see value. And to be honest, I'm selling my stuff is undervalued from what I sell in IRL. So I do these like free mints. Now it was unlimited, minted out of this. After it closed, it's finite. So I have 181 tokens for delete your history. I'll send you the link so you can look at
That's so
this.
awkward to me that somebody my OCD's crazy right now, and I don't have OCD, but like it you could mint two for free, and somebody at least one person minted one because you have an odd number of these editions out. That blows my mind.
But they didn't understand what I was doing. So I was like, yo, it's a free mint. Take two, keep one because I'm token gated. I just didn't state that because I like to like what's utility? It's like, bro, be in proximity to me and you'll understand, right? So then most people caught on. They're like, all right, I'll keep one and I'll list the other one and try to make a bag off of Ashten. Done. Go for it, bro. So now if you check, I sent you the link. Check what people have listed this at. They're saying they're bullish on me. And this was a free mint. Now, this is the secondary market. Now, if someone wants to enter, when I release, and we'll talk about the virtual gallery. When I release that virtual
Dude,
gallery,
when did you like reveal the art?
Their art was revealed the moment you downloaded the token.
I did not notice at all. This is sick. This is crazy. Dang. I
So
gotta get
now,
it on the computer for a second.
yeah,
I had
it's
no idea
so
you
the
did
file.
that.
Thank you, man. I'm proud of myself. Just joking. Manifold released a claim page. I was just testing it out. I'm token gating my stuff, and an example of this is like, if you want to look at the demo of the gallery I showed you, eventually I can walk you through where my mind's at with this.
Right.
So, essentially, certain people got 2 tokens. Yeah, I was shocked. I'm like, why didn't you get 2? There's people that made a bunch of wallets, but I'm token gating the experiences around myself, like, right? So, um, I don't know. Are you able to pull up the gallery on a
Yeah.
feed?
Yeah. I'm sending it to. I don't get iMessage on my computer, so I sent it to my
Oh,
Twitter.
you should, bro. I'll
All right.
walk you through the gallery because this I made this gallery 2 years ago in 2020 because, like I said, I was supposed to do a real gallery with some of my homies, and then I took the mock-ups because we can do builds IRL. So I just it was super easy. I put up my own money. I got a team of guys that were like understood it. There's 3D models, but I'll walk you through this shit. Okay. And this is the first time I've ever really revealed this publicly, just because like I like when I first showed this to a few people, like they didn't get it. But like I said, I always say this, I built a lock before knowing what key to use, and NFTs were keys. So my use case for the NFT space is like, yo, I kind of agree with what you're saying. Like I don't see it as a market. I look at it like a ticket. But like being a ticketed event, you have to okay, so this is the site. Go to the first door. I made this 2 years ago. You didn't even show the enter. So basically, you connect your wallet, you'd see it. All right, let's see if this loads. I'm gonna let you figure it out. Figure out how to function this. You see the map out?
Yeah. Well, you see what
Figure it
I'm
out.
seeing, right? Like the white tile.
Figure it out. How do you navigate in this space?
Oh, that's
Okay,
cool.
there you go.
Ooh, I can't select them, Ashton.
No, because this is a demo, bro. But eventually, you'll click it, it'll pop up the NFT, and then it'll show you the ID, and it'll point to an address and all that stuff. I made this 2 years ago before I even knew what an NFT was.
Ooh, you minted this. That's a good one
Okay.
too.
Oh yeah, I'm showing you guys are getting a preview. You know who that girl is on the left?
No.
That's Universe. I'll send you her profile. She's dope. She's a homie, a good friend of mine.
Are these gonna fly down at me right here?
Just finish it. And this is a demo, bro. So you see what I'm saying? These are the experiences I want to kind of provide when I'm displaying my work. I did this 2 years ago. I put up my own money. I'm
When
not
did Spatial
OpenSea.
launch public? Like
I
public
don't really know.
access?
Okay, now refresh because it's still a demo. I'm building this out. I'm not. So boom, you come here, you connect your wallet, you have the token, you can come in here. Boom, that's how it works. Go to the second room.
Did you
That's
make this?
a sound. I work for the team. These were my ideas though. So figure it out. Okay, you see it? So this is the music component. Do you see what's going on here?
Oh, is it playing sound? I'm not gonna be able to pick that up right now.
No, don't worry about it, but you see the movements.
Yeah,
I
this
can
is sick.
do a 3D model. Okay, refresh now. This is my favorite one. The one I'm gonna the last door. So again, token gated, boom, go to the third one. I want you to figure this one out. So you
Oh,
won't
we
be able
can
to
hear
see
the
it.
music
You
now
can
though.
okay.
Let me
You
make
can zoom
sure.
out. You see
I'm
this?
so bad. I'm so
Yeah, we got
bad.
music.
I'm so bad. Can
Zoom
I
in.
be honest with you, please? It's
Okay, zoom
really
out.
hard for me to speak right now.
Turn
Girl, I've
around.
been
You can spin
drinking
it.
all
But make
day.
sure you zoom out so you can see
It's
it.
been a
You see what's
long
going
one.
on here? I'm trying to provide
Can't
a
you
unique
tell by my
experience.
face? I
So
wanna
this is
lose
where like
myself
I've kind of been
between
just
your
like
legs.
inquiring with
I
people,
wanna
and
make your
I'm have to remind
body
people I did this in
shake.
2020.
Girl, if you drink,
And this was
then
a
it's
response
really
to the
no
gallery I was supposed to
change.
do.
I promise you'll have
And
nothing to
these are the
say,
ideas, and it's much
nothing to
easier to do it
say.
virtually. So
Cause at
with
least
me,
I
like
deserve
I
it
love
so.
like this is why like I had the idea of it, but this application is very different. So now I have a better understanding because I've been participating in spaces a lot longer. So I know how I can apply it.
Right.
Have you seen my video reel with my company? We might as well just do that. Some of our
Let's
content.
show Dead in 100. Are you okay with?
So this is
I mean, it's gonna be on my video. Like, it's gonna be in your video's
yeah,
gonna
yeah. I
be
don't
in my
mind. I just
YouTube.
want. Yeah, yeah. I don't care. I don't mind, man. You got permission.
I thought about that when like we showed Spotik's video. I'm like, it's kind of YouTubeception now.
No, but you don't have to. You can just show. You can just show it, right? Like this is the whole thing. Like we're in in spaces, you have to click a link to see this. Most people don't like most people are just like, oh, Ashton does this, but like they don't actually do research on the people that are talking in spaces. They just have an idea or a belief about what people have, but they really don't have ideas. And I realized this about artists. Like we gatekeep our emotions, we gatekeep ourselves from the world. And it's just like, it's this whole like weird thing, right? So
Right. Are you able to hear it?
no, but you
Okay.
could probably hear it.
The audience
That's just
should hear
okay.
it.
You can
In the
can
video
they
right now,
see
we're
it?
able to show. I didn't even like describe the.
Can you refresh it and show it? Because I can't see it.
Oh, I'm sharing it on my screen.
Oh, okay, perfect.
But
Okay, that's cool.
so
That's
it's
cool.
like 26 seconds in, everyone's gonna be able to hear it and see it, and it's just like high
So
production value, like video switching. You can show that like you did marketing for like your buddy CBDs. You got like lifestyle commercials, alarm commercials, some
okay.
travel stuff. It looks like too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you probably got like a lot of stories here. So, with that, I just wanted to like let people have enjoyed like the conversation about photography, some Web3 philosophy. Obviously, I'm pretty far out there in what I want NFTs to be. You see Dead in 100 video right now. You see the gallery Ashton's created, the experience he tries to make for his community. And I hope everyone enjoys it. So what I'm doing there, Ashton, is I'm just gonna cut it. I'm just gonna do like the last
Yeah.
like 10 minutes since we started talking about like NFTs and make that like the hot take one. And then I
Okay.
wanted to like dial back if it's okay with you. If you,
Yeah.
we talked a little bit about some of these ideas of being dynamic and flexible and participating in exposure and stuff. But I is I'm hoping that we can go over just a couple more things. I know your girlfriend's on the way, and you know, I'd like to hear another story and maybe what you've got planned today. Is your girlfriend going
Okay.
to be on the podcast?
No, she probably won't. She's super low key. She works for an alcohol company. She does community management, so she runs all their socials. If you ever want to check it out, it's a company called Cottage Springs, based in Canada. They're kind of like the White Claw,
Okay,
so like seltzers.
seltzer, yeah.
So she yes, and then she also has her own. She's also an entrepreneur. Like most of my clothing that I wear, like this hat, this she sources it. She has like a cool business where she just like she shops and finds clothes and then resells it. So she's dope. So yeah, I don't think she's gonna come on. She's very low key. She knows like she's just chill.
Yeah.
Um, we met like right before the lockdowns. So we went to my uncle's cottage. We found out that the city was locked down. I kind of was just like, let's just stay here. If you're down, you can go back. And then we kind of like been dating since.
Wow. How long did you stay in your uncle's cottage?
We did it a month, and to be honest, I usually get annoyed by people very quickly. With her, she's the funniest person I know. She's like a little joker. She's like, I don't know if you've it's cool. Different cultures, you get to learn a lot about yourself. And just getting to know another human being, like you kind of know the irony of this is that like um I at that same job I worked at, I was having a smoke break one day, and she was dating this guy I kind of knew. And in my head, I was like, oh, one day I'm gonna date her. And then when we met, we're at my cousin's club in Toronto. And essentially, like I walked in with my two business partners, and she literally scooped me up. And then I figured out later, I was like, oh, you're that girl, and contacted the dots. We went on our first date. This funny because this restaurant, I won't name them because it's my friend. It's actually my business partner's uncle. Shout out Ruby Soho. you guys have a chance, look into it. But super cool restaurant. It was their opening weekend. I went to bring her out as our first date, and like all the homies just kind of crashed our date, which was super funny. But no, she's cool, man. Super motivating. Like she just really taught me a lot about like life and about myself, and like it's
Dude,
just cool to
okay,
learn.
so that's like the fourth time, and this is cool because you made me think of this a little bit. That's the fourth time you've
Okay.
mentioned. One, congratulations, right, on
Oh, thank you.
like being able to spend time with somebody that you enjoy.
It's not easy.
But it's the fourth time you brought up like learning about other cultures or spending time with other people helps you learn about yourself. Of course, solitude is valuable for the same reasons, but I was like, he keeps bringing that up, like learning about this culture or being, you said grab your passport, go somewhere new, and learn more about yourself. And
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's because, like, it's true. Like, the more you say it, I'm realizing I can think of like times that like I've had like these epiphanies, and it's because
Hmm.
I think like it's easier for us to like understand who we are in relation to something else, right? Like
For
in
sure.
comparison. So like, oh, these people like do things this way and I don't, and the reason why they do is because of this. And so you start to like in relation to something else, I can start to like kind of understand myself a little bit better.
Yeah.
Um I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
So like when I met her, I wasn't even supposed to go out that night. My business partners encouraged me. I was in like a really like weird place in my life. And I kind of was like very like closed off and very recluse. So when I met her, it was kind of like I had to be exposed to different experiences. She's half Japanese, half Portuguese.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously we have different cultural backgrounds, but as a photographer, it's funny because like I've studied like different parts of history, and like ironically enough, her like great uncle was one of the people. Like her family is a dope story. Maybe one day we can bring her on. She'll talk about it. But I don't know if you in the States. Do you know about the Japanese internment camps?
Yeah. Actually, I
Okay,
grew up next to one. I think
okay.
like my county's fairground was a Japanese internment camp.
Okay, so if you understand that, there's a cool photographer, Dorothy Lange, that documented it during that time period, and I love her work, by the way, just because these Japanese citizens, these Japanese Americans were their property was taken. So her family on the Canadian side, they're from Vancouver, and her family's like descendants of samurais.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of when they gave up, like their houses were taken from them, instead of giving up this like sword that's been passed down, they threw it in the ocean, for example. They're like that, so it's
Mm-hmm.
cool. But I kind of like love looking at history to like kind of infer what like is next. So what was cool was that like I was like researching like about the internment camps in Canada. And this is where like you can learn so much, right? So her great uncle
In
was one of
Canada
the
too?
yeah, in Vancouver. You
Whoa.
can you can research this, and this is what's cool is that her family, her great uncle, documented. He was a photographer, and is like he brought a camera inside the internment camps. So he was documenting his experience before, during the internment camps, and after. And it's cool because his body of work, and I discovered this. Keep this in mind. I connected the dots, and I was like, wait, same last name. Like I asked her mom about it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's like my uncle." And da, 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 da. And I'm like, "Whoa, that's crazy." But he documented and his body of work in photography. And this is why it's important for photographers to understand that like we're documentarians of our time.
Mm-hmm.
This guy was just documented. I think his name is Thomas Matsu. I don't quote me. His work is actually at the Japanese Society of Canada because it's like historical value. Like he's the only photographer to document like inside internment camps and keep the history alive. And it's very important for photographers to understand the importance of what that means and our responsibility to point our camera at the stuff that's uncomfortable, because like provenance is like the history of it, right? Patronage is just who's supporting it and what patrons are there. So it's really interesting. Like different. I'm very open. You can learn a lot from different cultures and what's similar about us, right? Like oftentimes we kind of like look at what's different about the human experience and we categorize, and our brains are lazy. But like, yo, if I need a kidney from you, it's just how do I connect it? How do I get that kidney into my body? Blood type, right? So I really feel like race and all these social constructs are really weird. So when I say that, like we might be different culturally, but we're going through the human experience, and it's very beautiful. That like I have so many different friends from different cultures, and like we all eat, and we can all like you can really tell about a culture by the cuisine. I love Japanese cuisine, so I'm fortunate, and like the other side of her family is like Portuguese, very like different cultures, and it's a juxtaposition. But yeah, it's just kind of cool, right? Like so, like we just have these conversations, and we're able to like I'm not I think what, like we can have differences, right? And we can communicate, but like I can hear everyone out. Like I can call anyone in
Oh
as opposed to
man, I
calling
mean,
them out.
I mean that the diversity, both the adversity and the diversity that I experienced while younger, and I purposefully exposed myself to diversity. Now I try to avoid adversity, right? But
Why?
I mean, I have family. I don't know. I've been in it so long, dude. I like being comfortable right now, right?
Okay, so
I take
comfort's bad.
challenges. No, I take challenges. I'm not always comfortable, but when I'm saying like
Okay.
adversity, I'm talking more about like dangerous situations or like really like traumatic, like people say trauma left and right now, but like just like kind of like dangerous emotionally or physically. I try to avoid like those situations. I've worked myself out of them, right? Like I want to provide, and I'm like the podcast is, this is a challenge, but I don't consider it adversity. I
But
would
it's not
never.
really a risk. It's like it's not like
Yeah,
it's not like a high like it's not like, oh my god, this is a risk. Like I'm going outside and fighting a bear, or I'm starting a new business. I got to put up 50K. It's more like this is kind of like I can execute this, and like I can do it from anywhere. So like
dude.
I
Well,
think
yeah,
that
but you're saying discomfort. Like I love discomfort a lot,
me
dude.
too.
Like I really
I
do.
learned about myself through this uncomfortable situations.
So like I posted this tweet from my friend Melissa DeBlock today, and she like posted an excerpt. Like she just does spaces like willy nilly and says some really profound stuff, but she's been really intentional. She's faced a lot of adversity, and she said something along the lines of like nothing you like nothing causes you to remember as much as a feeling, and what stronger feeling is there than like discomfort, right? Like what feelings are
Yeah,
more potent than uncomfortable ones? So they really like ground you, put you in the moment, and it's good. And that's why I like to backpack, like 0 degree weather, 10,000 foot elevation, bro. I've been out
I'm
there.
good.
And then or even if
I'm
like
good.
I like fishing like in the ocean because it's 5 o'clock in
Okay,
the
that's fine.
morning, like it's cold. I'm going under the Golden Gate. I'm scared because we're in a smaller boat, and then under the Golden Gate, like all this water, just like the whole bay is like funneling in right there, right? And so it causes what they call like the potato patch, and just all these different currents and riptides and waves, and it's just super rough for like that small period of time. But
Mhm.
so I wanted to disclaim because you were like, whoa, 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 you like to be comfortable. No, I like to be uncomfortable.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what I was trying to like allude to was that like everything you want in this world is just right outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. You had to go outside your comfort zone to attain those things for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But in doing that, like my comfort zone grows, right? Like my capacity for like what I consider comfortable, like it grows. Like as I
Hmm.
do things that stretch myself, like I fear less and less things, right? You know what I mean?
Okay, for
But
sure.
I was hoping the last thing, dude, if I know that you have like a lot of cool stories that you might not want to share, but if you can give us like the skivvy on one, I'd love it. I'd love it.
What kind of story do you want? Like, do you want something like that was like dangerous? Do you want like I this is how you can fucking be successful, guys? Like, I kind of like I've had some crazy stories in my life. So like
I don't know what's one that you kind of want people to know, or like maybe not that you want us to know, but one that you like to share. I mean, anything. It could be shooting, film. It could be like moving somewhere new. It could be really anything. I
Okay.
Everything you got is gold.
You know what? Like, how about I'll stick to LA, right? So, you know, I'm from Toronto. I moved to LA. Boom, boom. I was living alone, and what I noticed about LA was just like it's such like. Have you ever played GTA?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so in GTA, you have all these organizations that like keep tabs on everything that's going on. So I was naive. Like there was one time, like, you know, I went to this club. I forget the name of it, but I went to the door and it ended up being a guy I went to university with in Montreal. So I was like, yo, Julian, and we both speak French. So I was like, so everyone's just like, who the fuck is this guy? How, like, you know, but they don't know that I went to university with him in Canada, and that was my first time seeing him, and he took care of me, brought me in. So I was with this
Now you're
girl
tied together, right? That
tethered. Uh,
interaction. Yeah.
so people, and I noticed this about LA, people are always watching. You don't know who's watching you. So through that club, we ended up going to like I believe it was a Mayweather party. Okay.
Hmm.
And then I went to this after party at a lawyer's house. Now, there was a random guy that was there, and he was also a person of color. And he kind of was throwing shade at me. And this is kind of when I realized this, like, I'm not from here, so I was just like, shit. But he said something to me that stuck out. He's like, I've seen you. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you're at this club, this party, and then, you know, and he's like, he had this like disdain for me. He was just, and he was, it's funny enough, his background was Haitian, but he was an older gentleman. He's like, I
Did he
hate,
speak French too? Because there's like,
yeah,
yeah.
but he was just like, I hate newcomers like you that think you're a hot shot. And I was like, what are you talking about? But keep in mind, I'm just navigating my night. But he knew exactly every touch points I was at. So I was like, what's going on here? And he kind of got aggressive. And the lawyer was like, who's the host? He was like, whoa, chill, blah, blah, blah. This is my house. But I realized that like you always kind of have eyes on your back, and you like what you don't know is what's dangerous for you. You know what I'm saying? So keep in mind, I'm from Toronto. It's in contrast to LA, it's a small town, but there's so many like layers, and there's all these like new levels, new devils, right? So there's all these things, and it made me change how I had to move in new environments because you never know, you know?
It's
You never
politics.
know. Yeah, it's all politics.
I
I didn't
mean,
want to.
Twitter's like that right now.
Okay,
The
but
Web3 space.
Twitter is different. So it is very similar. You never know who's who. Like Twitter's like this, okay? You'll come in, everyone's friendly and stuff. But on the back end, they're talking shit about you. They're gatekeeping. They'll send a list to a collector, and or they'll send a list to not buy this artist. And it's funny because like I said, I learned these lessons by living in LA. And I don't know what it is, man. Like it's just all kind of like the best way I could describe it is like, you know that quote, fake it till you make it.
Yeah, yeah, I've been there.
Uh,
Yeah.
okay, I'll add to that quote. That explains it. You guys are on some fake shit. Okay. So when I notice is that there's a lot of people that are on some fake stuff, there's a lot of people on some real stuff. I've kind of like I'm transparent. I'll talk about stuff until I get that phone call. Then it's like, all right, yo, we can't talk about that anymore. But it's there's a lot of like there's a lot of these like social nuances that like these like social cues, and this is what I mean by like I can be in a space and I might rub someone the wrong way, and that has nothing to do with me. That just has to do with someone else's insecurities, right? And I don't know if you've been following, but like there's a few people like Omakase, Ryder, Polly. There's a couple cool people that are really doing. They're like I would consider them very real in this space because they are very smart. They're not trying to finesse. They're just them. And there's a lot of people that are like, I want to extract as much money from the space and the market. I'll take advantage of people. I'll extort them. All this stuff, and it's like really weird. So like you have all these different personality types, and like what I like about Twitter is that you'll find your pocket. Like it's just like if I build my corner of the internet, people will come to me. So like, you know, shout out Omakase, like he kind of did a tweet that like I kind of just like was like, whoa, like, you know, he's a cool guy. He builds tools for creators just like us. that to use, right? No OpenSea, no marketplace, like independent creator tools for us to be able to share our work and sell our artwork and
I've
have
learned
ownership
so
over it.
much from developers in the space.
Me
That's
too. So this
definitely
is
something that's like
underrated, very
super
underrated.
underrated. Some of the
You know
most
what's funny?
valuable like information I have learned that's like helped me navigate came from like the people have been here for years. I'm talking about this space, right? Like people have been here for years.
Sure.
I've been chilling. Maybe I bought some Ethereum on like Coinbase. Like that doesn't count.
No, but
Like they've
that's
been
my
in it.
point though. That's my point though. The photography community, and I love them, but like they never gave me the codes. It was guys, it was developers that saw my potential, and I was naturally curious, and I was just like, "Yo, I'm working on this. Like, how do I do X, Y, and Z?" They're like, "Oh, bro, I got you." Like the developer community of Web3 is way more fascinating to me because I actually get to like know hands on about the technology. Like an
It's
example
a
of that
lot
is
less
like
opinion based too. I
it's
talk to a
facts. It's just
lot
facts.
of people. Okay, so damn, we're back in we're back in this area. The I talk to like a lot of people and not just photographers, right? But like artists and entrepreneurs in the space that got no I have like a splinter of an idea of what's going on, but like these people have no idea when you're launching your art on this one thought. This will just sum it up. People mint with OpenSea contracts. There's no reason like that does not benefit anyone at all. And what I
Except
mean
for
by
OpenSea.
that, except for OpenSea, and what I mean by that, sure, listing on OpenSea using their platform, fine. You're allowed to like make your own smart contract, get that on OpenSea. OpenSea is a marketplace. It's not a good platform for you to make a smart contract, which is how like these NFTs have addresses and they have their functionality, the smart contract. Like then if OpenSea needs to delist you, you can no longer like transfer everyone that's
Yeah.
bought from you. Like OpenSea,
Hmm.
maybe let's say an artist from Iran or Lebanon, right? We almost talked to one today that their country has like prohibitions of sorts, and like OpenSea has to take them down in order to like operate or not be sued or whatever. And so then OpenSea takes them down and delist them. And if they were to only be on that like platform with their like the OpenSea specific smart contract, they can't list anywhere else. People are still doing it, and there's amazing tools that allow us to not have to do it, even if you're not a Solidity developer. And so like and then
Okay.
you'll
Do you
get
know
artists
OpenSea's
that act like
motto?
they know everything, like they're up here or really anybody in the web3 space, and they have no clue that that's a thing, and that's like ground zero. That's not even like advanced. Like that's just like ground zero. You're minting on OpenSea. Like I
I
shouldn't
know.
listen to anything else you have to say.
I talked to a lot of these people, and I'm like, bro, I told you my story. I showed you the art gallery, how I fell into NFTs. I know my roadmap. I this is why like I kind of pivoted. I stumbled in this dev group. And that's why I shout out to Amakasi, shout out to all these people because they kind of like they were very accepting, and they like I'm a photographer, Minton, but when I approached it, I minted on my own contract from the jump. So
So these
I just
guys have like sorry, I need to like break this down for people. These guys are like pretty really heavily involved in the web3 space. A lot of them have like dedicated their lives to it. And so they have like a lot of knowledge that like I've gleaned value from. At the same time, they have a lot of opinions based on their experience. Like a lot of these opinions are valid, and then they're actually like really polarizing too, and
mhm.
that doesn't have to be a bad thing, but like just like
I
I've
love
also
polarizing
seen
characters.
people like hop into these like when we say space, sometimes we're talking about the web3 space, sometimes we're talking about Twitter Spaces, which is a platform for like 100 people, 200 people, 20 people to just talk, and you come up on these speaker panels. So like if you're in these Twitter Spaces, other people will start to like isolate you because it's a lot like who you voted for as president or
Yeah, but it's like high
or
school again, all over again. Okay,
exactly. And so it's really
bro,
polarizing, and
that's
it's like I've learned
mhm.
a lot, and I like I still learn from like other people too, and I participate everywhere I can and try to bring value everywhere I can. I just want to lay the floor down for people that like you're talking about how people are watching in LA, right? Like people pay attention to what we do, and that's
For
part of the
sure.
immutability of a ledger. And then on top of that, like Twitter Spaces brings it all into the public sphere too, and it's definitely like cause for a lot of the same. I mean, just real
Yeah.
life applies at the end of the day.
Well, you know that Twitter's the only real social media, right? Like a stranger could just hop onto your tweet and talk shit. Let's just be real.
Dang.
Instagram, you don't have that. Facebook, you don't have that. It's a closed loop system. So what's cool about this is that I was in NFT photography. I don't know many people in that space that are developers that are building on top of the technology, such as developers. So I talked to a lot of devs, and fortunate for me, I stumbled onto the dev community because there was like a random, like I think it was in a democracy space, and then I saw this piece of art, and I was like, "Yo, I want to buy that." They're like, "No, you have to like send ether to this address," and I was like, that's sketch." It was legit, and what I like about these people is that they really believe and into like terms of like my core values as an artist, which is like ownership, accountability, and sustainability. Now, 5 days ago, like Amakasi tweeted something was like it or not, all of these people are historic legends in the NFT space. That's because, and he listed a bunch of people. He listed me last. I'm grateful for it. But guess what? It's because I am doing stuff and I've taken the knowledge from these spaces and I ask questions from devs because I know I don't know anything about the technology. Like Omakasi's team, to my knowledge, they did the fucking security for MetaMask. Like they know how to build on top of it. So these projects and Omakasi's built these like cool creative tools that artists use on top of the infrastructure of Etherscan. And he's empowered devs and artists to go create themselves because he doesn't believe in middlemen. Like there shouldn't be a middleman. And where I want to touch on this is that like, my friend Ginger from Lebanon essentially got delisted, like you were explaining, and it's because he minted with a middleman, which is a marketplace, and they have their own politics. I don't blame OpenSea. I understand the mechanics. There's some geopolitical stuff. Probably the U.S. government put pressure on
Yeah,
them,
there's
and they
so
did
many
it.
different things
So,
that go
so
in.
I'm an
But
artist. I don't know
that's why
politics.
we're talking about. It's important to understand the tools so that you're not like
That's
subject
what I'm.
to these
That's what
other
exactly what I'm
factors.
about.
Yeah.
You have to understand the tools you're using. And what I encourage artists to do is like, okay, my first question, when I listen to people talk, and this is where I was saying like there's a lot of people that fake talk and they're capping. But it's like, bro, do you even own your own contract? Because I do. If OpenSea shuts me down today, I'm back up on Looks Rare, whatever other
Everyone wants to
marketplace.
be an influencer, but no one wants to learn anything. You know,
Well,
it's
you
like,
know what? It's funny that you say that. This is what I believe this, and I forget who says it, but everyone wants to be famous. No one wants to put the work in.
yeah.
You feel me? So that's a part of it. Like no one wants to do your own research. Everyone has a belief on somebody. You should have an idea about somebody because you know an idea you can change. And I've been saying that because I do spaces and people will request hop into the space, be like, look at my work, buy my work. But it's like, bro, we're having a conversation about someone who's been harassed in the space, but you want to look at your work. You want to like you don't have any context in the conversation. Like, I posted spaces. I'm just like, yo, like there's women artists talking. I don't that's not my experience. Let them talk and kind of share their experience, and I'll just listen. But what I find is that like I notice that people are looking for connections and people want to be heard
Hmm.
because they feel, so that's just like psychology, right? So it's like, all right, like when people complain, they're like, oh, like why did you kick me off of my space? And it's public. It's like, bro, like you have the equal opportunity to actually create your own space and run it however you want. Like, like I'm a photographer, I run a lot of photography spaces, but like if I have a friend in my community that has an issue and she's talking to us about it, I'm going to give her that moment to talk about it and I'm just going to listen. And most people like, you have two ears for a reason and one mouth. Like listen
Hmm.
twice as much as you talk. So
Hmm.
and this is where like there's a call and response. Like I kind of like I built my credibility in this space by like people ask me to charge. Are you okay?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, did you see me moving something?
Yeah, yeah.
I was moving my microphone. Sorry. People have the
Okay, so
ability to charge for spaces. Is that where
yeah,
you've
you have
gone?
the
Yeah.
no. I was going with this. Like, basically, like I built my credibility in the space by like really just giving the codes out for free, and when communities have asked me to join them and charge for the alpha,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I decided personally, instead of doing that, I will just not do that. Don't buy my work. You don't need to buy my work for me to be able to teach you something about maybe the technology, because I'm really here to grow the community and I see value. And like, it's not web me, it's web three. Oh, there's a lot of web me. There's a lot of people that like want to take from the market and they don't give anything. There's a lot of like charlatans. There's a lot of like bad actors, and like I don't want to be a part of that, because look, like if you resonate with the art, then sure, buy it. But I don't want to like be in a position where like, all right, buy my edition piece so I can drop the alpha. Like that becomes transactional. And I feel like that's never been me. I don't like to have human relationships with people and make it transactionals, because in
Yeah.
my experience that never made me feel good, and because that was done to me, you know?
It's yeah, then you're just making your relationships work too. So your whole life is just work if your relationships are transactional, you
I'm
know?
having
And
fun.
yeah, I think the relationships do best with like my best relationships that I've gotten the most out of, I've sacrificed the most for.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
like I think like real relationships, not real there's so many different kinds of relationships, but like for me, like the good friendships, um girlfriends, my wife, my daughter, like, you know, it's not transactional and like do A for B. It's like I'm gonna do this and do this and do this like for you. And then
Okay.
you know, if they have the same mindset, then it allows for me to get reciprocation from that. But like I think love is typically like selfless acts. Is like I think love is more of an
Unconditional.
action, unconditional. Like it's more of an action, it's a choice than it is a feeling to me. So
No.
and I think a lot of feelings like result from that. A lot of people disagree with me on that. That's fine. You know, I'm all right. The okay, so I want to respect your time and wrap it up. I'm hoping we can kind of end there, and then maybe I can talk to you for a couple minutes if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
All right, thanks, man. It's been good. And later,
All right, this
everybody
was
else.
dope. All
Appreciate
right,
it.
peace, homies. Check out my foundation. Buy
Check
my
out his
work.
foundation.
Buy my art.
Hashtag buy his work. Later.
I'm just joking. Peace.